Hey everyone, welcome back to the Health Bridge. I'm so excited to be with you today for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm here with my man, Pedram Shojai, and that is always a beautiful thing. Hey Pedram.
Hey Sarah. Nice to be here.
And it's so good to have you. And we finally got our website up. So guys, here's what we want you to do. Go to healthbridgeshow.com. We've got some super cool free stuff for you there. We're going to send you transcripts. Just leave us your email and we will get you some really amazing resources that will get you vital, get you, on the Health Bridge. And then number two, I get to interview Pedram today. So many of you asked for us to give us your backstory. Talk a little bit about, what brought you to the Health Bridge. Why is it that you guys are so integrative? And, why should we listen to you? So I'm excited to interview Pedram today. Pedram, I want to kick off with a question about you as I love hearing your dogs. I think it's cool to have it.
Well, Buster and Sunshine, they're very vocal.
Well, I think they were excited about me talking about UCLA. So you were at UCLA, you were pre-med, you were on the same path as me, and you made a left turn. You went rogue, you went into the esoteric arts. And so I want to hear about that left turn.
Yeah, it was unexpected. And when you graduate from your high school ranked number one and are super on track to do these things that your parents are really happy about and proud of, and you take one of those turns, it takes a lot of kind of personal power, if you will, because I had to stand up against the world in a lot of ways. But it just, I got to UCLA, I was interning at the hospital, I was hanging with all these guys that are heroes and really trying to work my way up that algorithm. And you know what that's like. It's a bit of a fraternity, right? So you got to kind of kiss butt all the way up a little bit, work with the right people. They kind of, it's like this Godfather thing, right? Where it's like, you're so lucky to get to hang with me, kid, right? And every
kiss
day,
the ring.
Kiss the ring. Yeah, that's it. Come in and kiss the ring. What gifts have you brought in? And so I was like, all right, I'll play the game. And the more I hung out with a couple of these guys, but one person in particular, the more I was blessed really with the lesson of learning that his life path wasn't the one I wanted. And we were dealing with a pain management setting and it was pretty depressing. I mean, these people just weren't getting any better. We're just, jacking them up on morphine and, basically watching them deteriorate because we didn't really have any solutions for them. Again, this is in the 90s and things have changed a bit, but it was enough at the time to pulse me a little bit into not being content. And that's really a powerful place in life because I think a lot of people are not content and not realizing that that's the universe or God or whatever you want to say, kind of nudging them on the side saying, well, no, this isn't where I want you, right? I want you somewhere else. This isn't maybe your path. And so at the time, I'd always been in the martial arts as a kid. And at the time I had kind of worked my way into finding a Tai Chi class and a couple other things there and started doing it. I was like, wow, man, I feel so great. Wow, this is so cool. And so I have this one island, this bastion of vitality on one side that's developing and growing and is full of life. And then I have this kind of nasty hallway corridor, yucky, smelly hospital life on the other side. And I'm looking down the barrel of this saying, this isn't for me. And I really respect and appreciate the people that are in this space and are fighting this fight. But there's something very devoid of life in here. And the vitality that I'm sensing and getting and loving and rock climbing and all these things that come with like living life fully outside of this setting is really where you can offset having to end up in that setting hopefully in the first place. So it was enough to pulse me out and it was enough to get me to change.
Well, I so appreciate this and I love how every time we talk, it's not about us really. It's about our listeners. It's about you. It's about, how do we really help folks take those baby steps towards transformation. So I am not surprised at all to hear that you were number one valedictorian of your high school class. Not a surprise, but I love what you said about, in pain management, you're just like, really, this is it? And then I want to pull this out. It pulsed me into not being content because you had this experience with the martial arts and then you had, kind of this deep direction that you're going toward conventional medicine, mainstream medicine. So can you say a little bit more about, how did you, at the time, I imagine you weren't as skilled as you are now at, what does that pulse mean? So can you talk a little bit about, what did the struggle look like for you, and how did you, it's not easy to say, okay, this guy who's the expert at pain management, I don't want that life. It's not easy to go against, what your parents want for you, kind of all these other ideals that are being projected onto you. It's not easy to take that hero's journey. So tell us about that, like when you really kind of stepped into your Pedramness.
It's a really good question, because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck in life too, is you have to be bold enough to trust the inner voice, right? And the inner voice is sometimes mumbling, sometimes screaming, and sometimes being sedated by a bottle of gin. And it just depends on where you're at in that, right? And so for me, it was, wow, I'm feeling this thing, right? I'm starting to kind of wake up to just an understanding of reality that's different. I was reading the Tao Te Ching, and I was reading a bunch of books on spirituality and meditation and all this, and I was digging it, man. And then I got to this point where I was a bit confused, and I actually remember, I'll never forget this day. I was walking down the halls of the University Research Library in UCLA, and I was like, man, what am I doing? My parents are all pissed off at me. All of a sudden I went from fast track to no track, and I'm trying to figure it all out. And it was this really wonderful moment of, and I have kind of a lot of opinions about this one, because I think that we in the West have this tendency to make proclamations, right? You're 17 years old, you don't know anything about anything, let alone life, and you're sitting here trying to make proclamations about what you're going to do for the rest of it, right? Well, this is my declared major, and I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be an astronaut, I'm going to be X, Y, or Z. And I think that's a really unfair thing to put our kids through, right? Because I don't even know who I am. How am I supposed to say who I'm going to be? And so I remember walking down the corridors of this library going, all right, God, if you're out there, send me a sign, send me a clue. I need a teacher. I need something, right? And the thing that happened next doesn't normally happen to people in life. So it was jarring enough to stop me dead in my tracks, is as I was having this kind of inner dialogue with God, and I don't even know who God was at the time. I just knew that everyone talked to him, right? And I'm sitting here asking him for some help. I kid you not, Sarah, a book fell out of a shelf about 20 feet in front of me.
Whoa.
On the corridor I was walking on. And I was just like, okay, full stop. To the point where I went and looked through the book thing to make sure someone wasn't messing with me on the other side. Did I say that out loud? What is this? And so I looked down at this book, and it had fallen open on the floor. And I pick it up and I read a passage about a Taoist Qigong master leading his disciples across this raging river, and they were petrified because they were going to get washed away. And he connected their energy of their dantians, or their lower energy centers, together, and said, just breathe deep and trust me, and walked them across the river. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I look at the cover of the book. It says The Wandering Taoist, right? And I said, all right, checked it out, read it that night. The next day, I found a school that taught Taoist Kung Fu and Taoist philosophy in North Hollywood. And fast forward, 20 years, I'm now a Taoist priest and have done tons of weddings and exorcisms and everything along the line, because I just said, wow, this is where I find the juice. I'm so thrilled about this information. It makes me feel alive. And that was it, and my parents just said, wow, man, I mean, we don't agree, but the conviction that you're coming at us with is overwhelming. You obviously are into this, so power to you, kid. And that was it.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is such a juicy arc, pre-revolutionary Iran to UCLA, well, valedictorian of high school, and then you have this book that basically told you to become a Taoist priest that falls on your head when you asked for a sign in the library at UCLA. And now you're the founder and CEO of well.org. You're a documentary filmmaker. You're the author of one of my favorite books, Rise and Shine. You are doing so many amazing things in the world. Tell us about that pulse that you talked about. What does it look like when the pulse shows up for you now?
Oh, I love this question, because the pulse is everything, right? The pulse is the energy of that drive, of understanding that there's something much more powerful and bigger than you at play. And when you kind of surrender your individual ego to, your destiny, if you will, you just start to cruise. You just start to follow those breadcrumbs, and you start to do everything that's put in front of you and not fear hard work. And life becomes incredibly magical, right? I'm so blessed, and ironically, I went back to the Eastern medical side and went full circle and learned all that, and then so I went to the Himalayas. Once I was on sabbatical after becoming a monk for 4 years, I took ordination as a minister, went on to sabbatical in the Himalayas, got to study with the Dalai Lama, got to hang with the Karmapa Lama, got to hang out with a bunch of very interesting people up in the high mountains. And when I came back, I was ready, man. I was ready to be a healer. And when I came back, I realized how limited the world of Oriental medicine was in relation to the world at large. And most people who are suffering were walking into those doctors' clinics being given drugs. And I was in kind of the back alley of the medical universe, when people, when people would get into serious trouble and be like, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. And then they'd show up on my doorstep and they'd be like, great, you're six surgeries. Exactly. 6 surgeries and 19,000 drugs later, now you're here and I'm trying to help it. If I would have been on the front end, this would have made a huge difference, years ago in your life. So I got together with some friends, put together a medical group, and quickly kind of, Dick Butkus was our spokesperson, and we became this thing. And so we're on the cover of all these journals and stuff because we were out there doing integrative, kind of progressive medicine, and everyone's scratching their head saying, wow, this is so amazing. And I'm sitting there banging my head against the wall saying, why are we playing in the Flintstones here? Like, how is this, like, the dialogue just wasn't happening. And so then I really pushed that frontier for a few years and then just got tired of the working within the business model of traditional medicine, because really you only get paid for diagnosable illness. You only get paid when people are sick, and there was really no money or financial incentive in trying to keep people well. And that's when I kind of broke and said, no, this isn't what I got into this for. I got into this to help people avoid illness. And so that's when I got into kind of corporate consulting, helping companies save money on their healthcare costs and all that. And then by and this is kind of back to your question, if you start to follow those breadcrumbs, it became very evident that film was the direction I would be moving into, because what we're losing in the medical world is an information war, right? You turn on the TV and the TV is telling you don't feel right, and you need this product, whether it's a drug or some scooter or whatever it is, and this is the solution to all your problems. And that's just marketing. That's not medicine. That's not holistic, and that's not wellness.
So powerful. And Pedram, I want to take some of these truth bombs that I adore your truth bombs. I want to take them and I really want to personalize them for our listeners, because ultimately we're here to serve all of you who are listening to us. And I want to take this piece that you just described of surrendering the individual ego, the small self. Can you break that down for us a little bit more? Like, can you, maybe it's related to your amazing film, Vitality, or maybe it's related to the last podcast that we did. Like, can you break it down for us and make it a little more practical, like actionable for us?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so if you come from, say, a Western religious background, I think the line that would match this would be, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, right? And in the Eastern philosophies, it's very much of the individual ego stepping out of the way. And the thing is dedicating your life to a life of service. I mean, the only reason we're talking about Pedram right here is not because, I want to talk about Pedram. It's because our audience says, who the heck is this guy, right? And so the whole point is, it's never about me, right? It's about the greater good. It's about doing the right thing. It's about helping people. And when you do that, then the universe rewards you, and you're never wanting, right? So I don't do things for money. I do things because they're the right thing to do, and money and abundance and friends and grace and all these things kind of show up because you are in that greater river of life, and you're not struggling, you're flowing, and you're letting your strengths bubble up.
Amen, brother. Okay, so I just want to say that you just put your finger on one of the greatest paradoxes that I've also found in my life, which is when you're depleted. I know we've got some depleted moms that are listening to us, or maybe you're struggling with, okay, I don't even know what my gift is. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. Whatever you're struggling with, it's amazing to me how when you shift into being of service, how that fills your tank. So I think that is such a beautiful takeaway. Thank you for that. Now, for folks who want to learn more about you, can you talk a little bit about your world at well.org, what you offer, and what people can come enjoy and love up with you?
Sure. So well.org is basically the neighborhood I comfortably lounge in. It's such a it's so comfortable for me because what I did was, I learned this a while ago, and you could go to all these self-help things and they'll kind of tell you this is find what you're best at, find where your passions are, and just do that, and everything else will work out around it. And so what do I love doing? I love traveling the world. I like studying. I like old esoteric knowledge. I like medicine. So we have this world, this universe at well.org, which is about helping people find their power, help themselves, get healthy, increase the vitality in their lives, and then become integral parts of this global community where what we call it is symbiotic capitalism, which is if you support the good guys, if you vote with your dollars and you give your money to the people who are doing the right things, whether it's the local farmer at the farmer's market, whether it's the company that pulled all the nasty chemicals out of their shampoos, when you start doing that, then you're effectively voting for a cleaner, healthier planet and making the world around us a better place. So, I love making documentary movies. We're finishing our second one right now, which you are in, called Origins.
Yay.
And it's great. I got to travel to Africa and do wilderness survival and tracking lions and just all kinds of awesome stuff. And I get to call that work. And it's profoundly informative, and it really helps people. So well.org is kind of the hub for that. I used to do a lot of my original site was called Taoist Path, Taoist path.com. And I still stoke that a little bit. I just, I'm not the kind of guy that's up there trying to sell Taoism to anyone. Taoism doesn't mean anything unless it's something that you resonate with. So I'm not sitting there trying to bang someone in the head with a book saying, here's a philosophy that you have to adhere to. All I'm trying to do is get in the way of where they're tripping on their faces and saying, here's some solutions to help you. So, my whole thing is about just being non-judgmental, non-preachy, and being like, look, how can we help you help yourself? I don't need to be a guru. As a matter of fact, the last thing I want to do is be like the guru guy, right? And there's all these people out there trying to be the guru guy who have, and I'm going to say this just as a cautionary thing, who have a hell of a lot less experience and cred than a guy who actually went through monastic training and did all the things that I did. And I don't want to touch it. So if someone's out there trying to be a master or try to grab and trap the students, be careful, guys. And I have a very strong opinion about that because I think that any message short of your personal empowerment and your ability to wake up to your own potential is robbing you of your birthright. And so for me, that's really it, is just helping people wake up to their potential in whatever way we can.
Fantastic. Well, this connects again to your service mission because you've been able to really craft this authentic path. It's so important to you, and it seeps out of every pore. I can totally feel it. And I love it. When I first met you, which was January 2013, you walked up to me, you had this business card, and you said, "Hey, I'm Pedram. How you doing?" And we had this really nice interaction, and you said, and I asked you what you did, and you said, "I'm the founder of well.org." And I was like, "What? Well.org? That's like the best URL ever." I was so impressed. But, for those of you who are thinking that there's not a good party happening at well.org, I just want to reassure you that Pedram he has crafted like this very sensual life along with all of this deep esoteric experience and training. And the way you blend it, I think, is extraordinary and unique in the world. So you got to go to well.org, leave him your email, and, join the party. So final thoughts as we wrap up this podcast, which is all about Pedram.
Guys, we are interested in being a voice of reason. And so, Pedram's mission in life isn't to make you see it my way. Same thing with Sarah. We're just here to kind of help people help themselves along, right? And so, I'm honored that people wanted to know who I am and all that. But I want to kind of reflect that back to our audience and be like, who are you? What are you doing? How can we help you get into your vitality? How can we help you get into the flow of life so that we're all doing this for our children's children? Personally, we're hours away from having our first baby here, right? Yeah, and so it's and I look down the barrel of that going, what's the world going to look like for this kid? And what do I need to do as a steward of this generation to do the right thing so we can look back and say, you know what, we did that. We turned this around. Everyone was swimming in a sea of plastic, and our generation in this next 10 years put our foot down and said, you know what, enough's enough. We want a bright, healthy future for our children and their children. So this is not about me or Sarah or anything. This isn't even about the listeners. This is about the generations that are coming after you and our attention to what our personal responsibility is in being of service to them. And it starts with every single trip you take down to Target or Walmart. It takes every single decision that we make voting for a cleaner or a dirtier planet, and that's really why I'm in this game.
Right on. Well, oh my gosh, I love you. I totally love you. I sent you an email this morning telling you how much I love you, and I CC'd my husband, and he's okay with this. So I just want to say, there's something so yummy here that I hear between the lines. And to me, it's about backdoor enlightenment. It's about, just finding these small decisions that you make every day, like when you're at Target or Walmart and when you're with your kid. It's also about legacy. It's about, what kind of world are we going to leave for our children, metaphorical or literal. So I want to thank you so much, Dr. Pedram Shojai, for, opening the kimono for us a little bit. How's that? I thought I'd give you a little Eastern analogy. And it was so fun to rock your world and sort of hear about it in more detail. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us for the Health Bridge today. Remember, you can go to healthbridgeshow.com to learn more about us, see the upcoming schedule. Eventually, we'll get some transcripts up there too. And don't forget to go join the party at well.org.
Love it. Sarah, always a pleasure. This is so much fun. Look forward to every time we get to do this. Thanks, everybody.
Mwah. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.